I'm here today to speak with you about your dreams. Not the ones you have when you're sleeping, but the ones you hold here in your heart. We all have dreams of something we want to do or be or achieve. And I'd like you to take just a moment to think about one of your biggest dreams. What is that one thing you would do if you knew you could not fail? The dreams that mean the most to us are often the ones that seem the least realistic. So, are you going to chase your dreams, or are you going to let fear and self-doubt and insecurity stop you? Because that's exactly what I did until I was 30 years old. Now, there's no age limit on dream chasing, but I would urge you not to wait that long to start pursuing yours. And I hope that by sharing my story with you today, you will see that the key to creating the future you want lies within you. So for as long as I can remember, I dreamed of doing the following things. I always dreamed of writing a book, although I had no idea what that book would ever be about. I dreamed of being on stage, although like most people, I had a paralyzing fear of public speaking. And the two things I wanted more than anything else were to be a dolphin trainer, but that seemed like a fantasy job that real people didn't have. And I desperately wanted to do something to save endangered species. But I couldn't imagine what one person could possibly do to make a difference. So I had all of these really big dreams, but I didn't think that any of them were really possible for me. And so I gave up on them without even trying. And I now know the reason I didn't believe my dreams could come true is because I didn't believe in myself. I was a very shy, awkward, insecure kid with zero self-esteem, and those blue cat-eye glasses did not help any. But I had a lot of negative self-talk going on and a lot of self-limiting beliefs. Now, we all have that inner critic, but if you are in the habit of beating yourself up, you need to stop that right now, because your thoughts are extremely powerful, and they can either paralyze you or motivate you. As Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So choose your thoughts very, very carefully. So in my 20s, I learned how to tame that inner critic, and I began to take risks and do things that scared me a little bit. And in doing that, I began to build confidence, and I began to believe that maybe I could make some of these dreams of mine come true. So when I was 30, I volunteered at a dolphin center. And by the end of that month, I knew that I had to come back and become an intern and become a dolphin trainer. And I knew that because of one single thought I had that would change the entire trajectory of my life. And that thought was this: I realized I did not want to get to the end of my life and look back and regret that I never even tried to become a dolphin trainer. Now, I knew it might not happen. The odds were definitely against me. There were hundreds of people competing for these spots, but I knew I had to try because nothing feels worse than regret, not even failure. So I applied for that internship, but I was rejected because I didn't have the right degree. So I actually went back to college for a second degree, and I studied my butt off, and I developed a mantra that I would say whenever doubt would start to creep in. And that mantra was this: someone has to get that really cool job of working with dolphins, so it might as well be me. And I soon believed that with every fiber of my being. And you know what? 2 years later, I got that internship, and I became a dolphin trainer, and it was awesome. Now, having finally realized this really huge childhood dream that had seemed so impossible, I realized I could probably do just about anything I set my mind to. So the next year, I got an internship in the penguin department at the New England Aquarium in Boston, and I discovered that I really loved working with the penguins and knew I wanted a job there when I graduated. Now, problem was, that job required a ton of public speaking, and jobs rarely opened up. And when they did, there was a very stiff competition for them. But once again, I called upon my mantra and would repeat to myself, someone has to get that really cool job of working with penguins, so it might as well be me. So after 2 more years of proving myself as a valuable volunteer, I was hired as a penguin aquarist. Now, in the beginning, speaking to thousands of people every day was really, really scary. But over time, I discovered that when you're speaking about something you're really passionate about, it becomes easy and even fun to do it. Now, 3 years into my aquarium career, something happened that once again would change the course of my life. This ship, called the Treasure, sank off the coast of South Africa, oiling 20,000 penguins. And this oil spill threatened to kill nearly half the entire world population of this species, which at that time was listed as threatened, and it's now endangered, and they could be extinct in the wild in less than 10 years. So without human intervention at the time of this oil spill, it would have been completely catastrophic. Now, a week after this oil spill, I was in Cape Town with a team of penguin experts to train and supervise more than 12,000 completely inexperienced volunteers. And this was truly a monstrous and overwhelming task because it was the largest animal rescue that had ever been attempted. And we all knew that just 6 years earlier, half as many penguins had been oiled and rescued, and half of them had died. So we did not know if it would even be humanly possible to save this many oiled birds. The day after we arrived, 2 of us were put in charge of this room, which had more than 4,000 oiled penguins in it. And this was the most terrifying moment of my life. I did not think I could do this. Not at all, because no one had ever done it before. We would literally be the first. But we had to just push aside our fear and do it. And it took more than 500,000 hours of back-breaking labor to save those 20,000 penguins, but each person there made a huge difference. In particular, someone named Louis Koch, who invented a product that was used to clean all of these oiled birds. And Louis was just 17 years old at the time. So after 3 months, 91% of those penguins were successfully rehabilitated and released back out into the wild in what still stands as the largest and most successful animal rescue ever undertaken. And this was by far the most rewarding experience of my entire life because I had finally realized my lifelong dream of doing something tangible to save a species. It was also by far the most grueling experience of my life, but it changed me forever because I knew if I could do that, I could do absolutely anything because nothing could ever be that hard again. So after 9 years with the aquarium, I decided it was time for a new challenge, and I started my educational company, The Penguin Lady. And so I now teach kids and adults all around the world, including Antarctica, about penguin biology and conservation. And I now finally had the time to write that book I'd always dreamed of writing. And I now knew exactly what it would be about. In fact, the moment I left Cape Town, I knew I had to share this amazing story with the world because it is such an inspiring testament to what we can achieve when we come together and work as one. Now, I'd never written a book before. I'd never gotten an agent or any of that. But once again, I called upon my favorite mantra. You guys know it by now, right? Someone has to write a book about the Treasure oil spill. So say it with me. It might as well be me, right? And so after 2 years of really hard work, The Great Penguin Rescue was published by Simon & Schuster and by Zahar in Brazil and has now won several awards, of which I'm very proud. Now, around the time the book came out, I became a rabid fan of the TEDxTalks. And my ultimate next dream was to speak from that stage. But I really did not think that this material was TED-worthy. However, the curators at TEDx Boston felt otherwise, and they invited me to share the story of the penguin rescue there, and it was a thrilling moment. And Lara Stein, founder of TED-Ed, was there that day, and she recommended my talk for the main TED website and also invited me to come speak with you here today, for which I'm very grateful. And also, as a result of that talk, the folks at TED-Ed recently invited me to write a lesson about penguin conservation. And that lesson just went live on YouTube and TED a few weeks ago. In fact, I think it hit 90,000 views last night. So, with each choice we make, we step into a different future. What is the future that you envision for yourself? You have the power within you to bring that future to life. When I was a shy, insecure little girl dreaming of doing something to save endangered species, I never could have predicted the amazing places that dream would take me. And I now marvel when I look back at all of those childhood dreams and see how they've woven together to create my life's work. So I've determined that the most important key to achieving your dreams is believing in yourself. And there's one important caveat, which I'm sure you've figured out by now, and that is you need to be willing to work your butt off to bring your dreams to life. So do what you are passionate about with all of your heart. And when you do that, you'll inspire others around you to do the same. So I'll leave you with the sage advice of Dr. Howard Thurman, who said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Thank you.